Hey guys, GWS here. Here just for a brief video, just to get kind of some thoughts off my chest once again. I'd like to respond to this comment on a Steven Crowder video. It's a video called Pure Detroit. It's actually pretty funny. Hopefully I can find the comment again, but yeah, you can watch it. It's called Pure Detroit. It's just kind of a parody of Detroit. Pretty much explains some of the problems, etc., how liberals have controlled it. It's like, I understand the excuses, so we're not going to go into the political debating of this. But I'd like to respond to this comment right here, because this comment, I think, encapsulates a lot of liberal thinking in these cities. So you got Detroit, where I'm from, Toledo, and then you got Chicago, Cleveland. You'll get these same sorts of thoughts. So let's read the comment. Because it's like, I don't want to insult them necessarily, but it's like, people have to get out of their own bubble. So let's read the comment. You disgust me, Steven Crowder. You spew your lies and assumptions with the hope of changing the opinions of the weak-minded. Detroit is nothing like you're showing. Every major city has had its undesirable locations, and Detroit is no exception to that. It's amazing to me that you can visit a city as large as Detroit and not take the time to see the bustling downtown, the world-renowned art museum, the state-of-the-art zoo, or the historical wealth of the Henry Ford Museum. You're a useless piece of scum. Instead of wasting your effort creating rumors and degrading a place that many people love, why don't you do something that will result in some legitimate good? You're not fixing a problem, you are the problem. And here's a response to that comment. Of course, I wrote a comment right there too, just saying Auburn Hills, because it's kind of it's that kind of thinking. But anyhow, let's read this. I agree. Crowder is the problem for any place he visits. He is a cancer in Detroit. Damage than his video does more damage than the Detroit's reputation than the 1967 riots could ever do. The riots have been over 47 years, but Crowder keeps destroying Detroit. Even more sad is the people who believe that all of Detroit is like this. I live an hour from Detroit, and I've been there over 100 times, and all of Detroit is not like this. So, okay, here's Google Maps, and first of all, okay, let's say something positive about Detroit. Does anybody notice something a little bit odd about this? Um, yeah, I don't think it takes long to realize that what you have here is the demolition of tons and tons of homes into basically just fresh lawns, removing the basements and everything. Here you see more demolished buildings. Um, and here you got some kind of junk pile or whatever. And here you got, I'm assuming, um, an abandoned marina that was removed. You have lots of these. Maybe that's not abandoned. I don't know, but because you got boats there. But if you look at Google Maps, and then you go to, this is a little bit outside of Detroit, but you go to Detroit here, you'll notice a lot of this place has been demolished. And I would like to say, when I was doing research for this video, I was happy to see this. Because this is what's Detroit's needed. This kind of demolition. Look, whole subdivisions, except for a couple houses that somehow managed to stay inhabited through this whole time. Is my mic up? Let me turn this up, because last time I was quiet. Okay. Now you can turn your stuff down. Oh, alright. So, anyhow, you have all these subdivisions that are, well, not subdivision. Good one there. But you have all these houses. Here's an old, well, I might not be that old, but yeah, you have all this stuff that's been demolished, utterly demolished. Like, this used to be full of houses right here, demolished, and now maybe we can find something that's not demolished that just looks like absolute ghetto-ridden crap. I had a few neighborhoods here, but and see, just see like everywhere you go, you see either buildings demolished, getting demolished, or in disrepair. Um, and so here might be a good neighborhood. All right. So as you can see, you got these old style houses, busted windows, um, like taped over doors, boarded places. This is a neighborhood that hasn't been demolished. And this is, like I said, the demolition was good for Detroit. It was very good. Now some of these are actually kind of nice. So maybe this isn't pure ghetto, but this is, it's an older neighborhood, and you see a lot of houses that are falling apart. Um, but this seems to be, well, there's one right there. Boarded up door because the door's been smashed through. Um, and and yeah, you'll see that from time to time here too. Is you'll get these hodgepodge of nice houses next to these busted down, boarded up houses that need to be condemned. And this is a wealthier part, so we're gonna go away from here. Because I just wanted to show briefly, like, just some of the ghetto part. And a lot of these streets, like, you'll see nice streets beside these crumbling streets, and you'll get these whole neighborhoods full. See, here's more demolished houses, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, a lot of this, I wish I knew how to pan the camera on this. I don't know how it got like this, but yeah, you see, you got more demolished houses, and so here's what I want to get at here is that, like, you live in a suburb like Auburn Hills, or some other suburbs of Detroit. I can't name them because I haven't lived. I'm from Toledo, but I haven't been in Ohio in 20 something years. So it's like, just my childhood, and I never really went to Detroit, but we grew up um, like neck deep in the Rust Belt, basically. But here's what I'm trying to say: is you can't ignore the bad parts. You can't just say this area is undesirable, this area is bad. How did I get away from that? Oh well. Oh, I must have tapped it. But anyhow, anyhow, the point I like to make to Rebecca here is, like, you can't just go by what's desirable and ignore every other part, because it tends to be like Chicago. You're excluding this. There's a lot of people who live in those neighborhoods with those houses, and it's sad. It's incredibly sad to me that those people continue not to get help. And who gets all the help? It's the rich neighborhoods, right? They get their roads paved, they get the amenities, they get the condominiums, they get all this stuff. It goes to the suburbs, and it goes to the wealthier neighborhoods who pay property taxes and who donate to Democrats. Those are the people who get the first dibs. And so you live in one of those neighborhoods or those suburbs, and you think to yourself, golly gee, Detroit's not so bad. Because you haven't been to those neighborhoods, because you never had to go away from them. And these cities, they specifically hide those areas from you. Because you'll have your downtown, and you'll have your strip, and then you'll have your wide area. You'll have your wide area full of amenities, but just don't go down that road because there's some nasty stuff there. That's an undesirable part. But what you don't seem to understand is that undesirable area, it's not just like a square block of gangs. You're talking about an area that surrounds the city, the inner city, the city proper, the area that surrounds it, with the residential neighborhoods that are away from the precincts, that are away from all the public services, and who don't get all those amenities, who don't get all that treatment, who don't get their roads paved, who don't get police protection. Um, you have to focus on that, and you can't you can't just look at the good. There's a liberal saying, and I don't know if you can always apply it, but it has some meaning. Like, your area is as good, as well off as the worst of your citizens. And I think that there's some times where you do need to apply that philosophy, especially when there's a huge number of your citizens that are living in third world conditions where they can't even rely on public services to work. They can't rely on streetlights, public transportation. They can't get timely um, police response times. They can't get 911. They like you can't just cover your eyes and look at your nice neighborhood and say that your city's fine. It's not. Detroit is a sick city. Just call it what it is. And I've had to deal with that with my hometown of Toledo. And we weren't born in the worst situation. We were born in a bad neighborhood, but we also had the money and the means to leave. And God blessed me with that opportunity. But there's a lot of people who live in those neighborhoods who never get that opportunity. And they have to deal with the hand God gave them. And the hand that other humans gave them as a result of their free will. And we have to look out for those people. It can't just be a welfare check and food stamps and see you later. It can't just be that. Because it's not enough for them, people. That is not enough for them. And you've even seen, at least Crowder had a video where he showed where people are actually in the empty lots, they're growing crops to try to feed themselves because of the cost of living and how the welfare expenses aren't meeting that cost. Like, look, if you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat, I can, I don't agree with your position, but I can understand it. But whether you believe in a liberal solution or a conservative solution, you have to start thinking. You can't just look at half the city and say, we got an art museum, we got the Henry Ford Museum, we got the zoo or whatever. When your zoo and all those places are surrounded by utter filth, you can't just overlook that. And I'm not saying anybody means badly. All I want is for people in those neighborhoods to understand that there's an epidemic. These people are getting killed by the dozens every month in all of our major inner cities. And this doesn't just apply to Detroit. It's like I said, like Chicago, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Baltimore, um, Youngstown, all these Rust Belt cities with these conditions. It has to be fixed because this is like Somalia. Like, we're supposed to be better than that. And I don't care if it's just a part of it. Nobody, not one person, should have to live in those conditions. We are a filthy rich country. I think that we can expect better for people, everybody, than third world conditions. And I think that you need to look at yourself, your neighborhood, those around you, and understand that that's not even half of the picture. And just start understanding that, at least, if nothing else, understanding there is a problem, a major problem that requires being addressed. Thanks for listening, guys, and God bless.